Perfect. Make sure my sound is up for the, oh, or not. This microphone, you never know with the buttons. All right. Welcome, everyone. It is Monday night at 7:00, right? So what do we get together to do? We get together for Insights with Alicia. I am so thrilled that you are all here. It's Monday in Phoenix at 7 p.m. I know some of you are in different time zones and all of that good stuff. So I am super grateful for you joining. Okay. So every week we get together to learn and connect, and I often say things and people always want to know more about it. They love the insight from the scientific psychic. So there are so many things that I've experienced that have transformed my life, and I love being able to share those insights with everyone, not just my clients. When we get together, right, on Monday nights, we talk about relationships, our behavior, life skills that literally change your life, and tools and ideas to support all of those changes we want to make. And let's not forget about the animals. We talk about them too. For those of you who don't know, I'm Alicia Sweezer, owner of Who Knew Healing, and I am an intuitive life coach, animal consultant and communicator, psychic medium, intuitive mentor, and I provide healing and growth opportunities for people and animals. And for those of you joining on Facebook, if you have comments, please join us by the Zoom because I'm not able to see your comments on Facebook right now. And if you happen to be listening as a podcast on Spotify and Apple, welcome. If you'd like the video version, it will be on my YouTube channel under Alicia Sweezer. And even better, join us on Monday nights live. I would love to have you. So, okay. Thanks for joining in, everyone. Hopefully you have your favorite drink. We always talk about that. I still have my fancy new pretty cup that my friend got me. See all the red? It's very Christmassy. Just water. It's super dry in Phoenix right now. My lips are chapped and I can't seem to get enough water. So, all right, here we go. I wanted to take a moment also and say happy holidays to everyone who celebrates those. And if you don't, happy winter. I have a friend, he listed like all of these holidays. I think there was like 40 on his list on his Facebook post today. It was really interesting to see all of them. So, and I wanted to do a special thank you because I am truly blessed and grateful to have wonderful people in my life who care about me and support me in so many ways. I know this last month would have looked very different with all of you. It has, without all of you, it has taken a village. Not even joking. And as always, thank you to everyone who continues to show up on Mondays, who watches my videos, listens to the podcast, reads the blogs, and contributes to everything else that I am creating. You are all a part of this, and I am super, super grateful for all of you. And I love being able to join you on Monday nights. This is one of my favorite things. It was interesting today. I kept thinking, is it 7 yet? Is it 7 yet? Like usually my Mondays go pretty quickly, and it was like 7:00. Couldn't get here fast enough so that I was going to be able to do this. I was really excited. Okay. So what are we going to talk about tonight? Tonight, we're going to talk about being alone. And does being alone mean that you are lonely? So we're going to talk about loneliness. We're going to talk about being alone. And so many times people think when someone is alone, they must be lonely. And this is very often far from the case, right? Particularly at this time of year, people's assumptions on many things go into overdrive. So, what does it mean to be alone? The definition of the word means having no one else present, right? Just in that, like for me, it's like in that moment, like you're standing on a street corner and you're by yourself, or you're in your house and no one else is here. But as humans, you know what we do? We make it mean so much more. Here's what we do. We make it a state of being. Did y'all hear that? I'm going to say it again. We make it a state of being. We make it a state of mind. We make it a status symbol. We make it determine so much of our lives and how we view ourselves and others, and how the world views us. And guess what? It's all made up. None of that is real, right? So we talk about the perspectives and how we all have them. So I ask you, what does being alone mean to you individually? Some people think being alone means not dating anyone. Some people think it means not dating someone exclusively. Others think that it means not being around family. Some people think that it means not having any friends. And for others, some think, it's not having a pet. I know that would be one that would register for me if I subscribe to this. So there's all these things that we make being alone mean. If you have any that pop in, feel free to type them in the chat there. Because the truth is, right, is that being alone means something different to everyone. Because remember, it's all about the perspectives and the filters. It's all what goes on in our own head. It's not the reality of what's walking around in the world. So, do you think being alone is a bad thing? Because many people do. Once again, it's perspective. There are people, some of them are my clients and even my friends, who cannot handle being alone. Their codependency rules every aspect of their life. And there's absolutely no judgment in that. Everybody has their thing, right? And it's such a driving force for them. So I want you to take a moment and think about how many people you know that stay in a relationship that isn't working because they don't want to be alone. Trust me, there's a lot of people that do that. People stay in situations because it's comfortable, even if they hate it, right? It could be making them absolutely miserable. And in their mind, it's still better than being alone. It can drain them and keep them so unhappy because the choice to choose the unknown is sometimes too challenging. And we talked about that. Oh gosh, which Monday night was it that we talked about the choosing of the unknown and how it's so much scarier sometimes. And this is honestly one of the things that I love to help people with, not leaving their relationships, but getting clear on what it is that they want and becoming empowered in themselves to make those changes that contribute to their happiness. So, and here's the thing that no one tells us, and that most of the time we don't want to hear. If you have something that isn't working in your life, it affects every single part of your life. It oozes everywhere. And we hate that because we know it spiritually and energetically, but we don't like looking at that. So if you're trying to create something like a business and you have a romantic partner that's not a match, it will affect your ability to create your business. Things that aren't a match in our lives are energy drains, whether we realize it or not. And we spend precious time and energy managing a relationship, for example, that is sinking when we could be using that energy to create something else. The other side of the coin in this codependency game, right? Oh, this codependency gets us, is people desperately trying to find anyone to be with. They settle or they choose people who are really not a good match for them simply out of the fear of being alone. It has this frenetic and this chaotic energy to it and their behaviors. And there's, like I said, there's absolutely no judgment in that. Because for these people, it's very much a survival mode that they're in. And it can be a really challenging place to try and create your life from when you have that survival mode going on. Because every choice they make has this cloudy filter on it. And they aren't able to see clearly because they feel like they're drowning in a pool. And the only thing that can save them is being with another person. They aren't able to see any other choices. And it's just a really challenging place to be. And it's one of the most amazing things when you get to work with someone who makes that transition, where they make the transition of, needing to be so codependent on themselves and learning to live what I call their life from the inside out, right? That of course we still want other people in our life and we absolutely want and need connection. It just doesn't have to be a survival mode. It doesn't have to be the lifeline. It's like we come back to ourselves. We remember that we're complete and we live our life from that place. We create it from that place. And that's one of the things that I get to help people do. And I love it when when that shift starts to happen for them and their life changes because it's this domino effect, right? It ripples out everywhere. So once again, I will ask you, is being alone a bad thing? Only you can decide that for yourself. I love being alone, maybe more than I probably should. Hear the judgment in there? There should. I love my independence. I also am an introvert, so being alone is how I get filled up. Now, does that mean that I don't like spending time with people? Absolutely not. And here's the thing. I don't see myself as alone. It's not a state of being, right? Because I talked about that the society alone is this state of being that I ascribe to. Currently single, but I'm not alone. I don't choose to put those limitations on myself because feel into that being alone, or that aloneness of how other people define it. You feel how heavy that is? Do you feel all the judgments that are piled in there? Do you feel the emotions of everyone in there? You feel all the societal beliefs in there, particularly for women, right? Old maid, spinster, have to be married off young, all of those things. Um, Luckily, some of that happens to be changing, right? Some of those older beliefs are no longer as present in the world. Um, and like I said, it's this alone that it's a state of being. And I wish I had more language for that, because as I was writing this yesterday, like I wrote that sentence, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so true, because it's such a feeling for me. It's like we put ourselves in this bubble of being alone, and then we walk around in this bubble, and it affects everything that we do, because it's all of these beliefs that we have. It's how we see ourselves, and it's where we function from completely unconsciously. And the truth is people think when you're alone that you can't or don't have a life. I do all kinds of things by myself. I know friends that do things by, I have friends and know people that do things by themselves as well. I go to the movies, I go dancing, I go to meetups, I do stuff outside. Just because you're by yourself doesn't mean you're sitting in your house doing nothing. Not that I don't do a lot of that too. It doesn't mean that you can't have new experiences. Heck, if I waited for someone else to show up, whether it was a friend or a boyfriend to do something with, I would have missed out on some really great things. And see, right, there's some other messages in the chat here that says, I think of being alone as independent, not, or she says, I think of it as being independent, not alone or lonely. Exactly. Because when we step out of that bubble, when we realize that we have bought into other people's beliefs around this, and that it has become so much of who we are, we can really, really start to shift things. Because the truth is that we are all absolutely enough as ourselves. We are whole and complete. We get to have an amazing life as ourselves, with ourselves, by ourselves, however that looks. And I am really on purpose who I let in my life. You guys know we've talked about, right, inner circle versus outer circle friends and all that. The people in my inner circle are a contribution to me, and I'm a contribution to them. They are not drains. They add to my life. If you're choosing to have people in your life just so you're not alone, then it may not work out the way you think or the way that you want it to. This is one of the things, it popped in my head now. One of my long-term clients, he was very much living his life from the outside in. And I think this is just my personal opinion. I think for extroverts is a little bit, there's an extra layer in there that we get to look at, because extroverts do fill up when they're out with people. And there's also this core shift in healing that gets to happen of where, yes, you do fill up and you do desire connection, and it's not that survival mode that I was talking about. And he started to really see the people that, when he started to make this transition and he started to heal this stuff over time, he started to really look at the people that were in his life, and he started to discern, okay, who's inner circle and who's outer circle, and who were the people that he picked to have around just because he didn't want to be alone, because he had so much judgment around that and it felt so bad to him. And then he started to see like, oh, okay, some of those people were removed completely, and some of them were moved, to outer circle, when he started to learn the difference in that. It was this really fascinating thing. And so it's that place of, having people around that are a contribution to us. And here's the thing. The loneliest I have ever been was in my marriage. For me, it is one of the worst feelings in the world. It's that gut, heart-wrenching feeling to be lying next to your partner and feeling completely alone. It's like you're in this bubble that you can't break through, because a relationship takes two people contributing to it all of the time. There's a mutuality that's required. And if the other person is always running or shut down or whatever they happen to be choosing instead of leaning in to the relationship, how can you connect? Because all you want is this person to care about you the way that you care about them, or for them to care about you the way that they say that they do, right? We want their actions to match their words. And when I just remember sitting there many nights, just he'd be sleeping next to me and I would just sit there and I would look at him and I would be like, why? I would feel so alone and I'd be like, I just want to connect to this person. And I didn't really understand at the time what was happening. But it was one of the worst feelings in the world for me. That's my personal opinion, but I've spoken with other people and they're like, yes, I would rather be alone, or actually, let me change the language there. I would rather be single than be in a relationship and feel alone, because it's very confusing and it has a particular pain to it. That's the best you can only put so many words to a feeling. That's the challenge for us empaths. Okay. So some homework for you tonight is to look at what are your beliefs, thoughts, judgments around being alone. What do you make it mean? Do you see it or live it as a state of being? And I want you to check if those are your beliefs or someone else's beliefs that you've bought into. What? Yes, you could be believing something that isn't even true for you because it's something you were raised with, or it's something that, you learned from society, some programming. So that's your homework for the alone part of this evening. Okay. So where does loneliness come from then? It's a feeling that comes from a thought or a belief of lack. And it comes from a deep desire of wanting connection, because we all want that. That's really all anyone wants, is true connection with someone that can be an allowance of us just as we are, right? All of us as we truly be. So in full transparency, there are times when I wish someone was at home that I could tell them about something that I was just out doing, right? You're like, oh, you have, but here's the thing, right? It comes from the thought and the belief of lack, of like, oh, I'm missing out because there's not someone there that I can share this with. And the truth is that feeling passes quickly because my happiness isn't dependent on something outside of myself. And the truth is, at some point, there will be someone that I get to do that with. And then I'll be on here bitching about like, oh, he's always here, right? Can never win sometimes. It's like, oh, I'm alone and oh, they're always here. Sort of a challenge for an introvert. Okay. So, and here's the thing. Feeling lonely isn't bad either. There's no judgment, right? It doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. It's an opportunity to see where we're at and what we are feeling and what we are believing and how we can change it if we want to. Something to pay attention to is that loneliness can easily slip into victimhood. And we know that that's not a fun place to be in. So just, a little heads up, pay attention. So if you are feeling lonely, I invite you to ask yourself, what am I believing should be different about me or my life right now? Ooh, that one brought up some stuff. I love this part of when I get to connect with you guys, because I write this, right? And I read it over and over. But then when I get on here and I get to do it with you all, it brings up so much energy with these questions. And I love it because that means that all of that stuff gets to shift. All of that stuff gets to be released and all of that stuff gets to be healed. Oh, it's good. Okay. So I'm going to say that one again. What am I believing should be different about me or my life right now? What am I thinking I am missing? Ooh, feel that one too? They're all just turning on tonight. It's fabulous. What is it that I am truly desiring? Ooh, you feel how yummy that one is? Feel how expansive that is and how that just sort of flows out there and ties into all of the things that you're desiring? That one feels really good. What am I willing to choose to achieve and receive what it is that I am desiring? That one's really good too. Oh my gosh. That one just keeps on going. You feel that? Ooh, I like that one. I like it. I like it. I like it. Okay. And most importantly, be gentle with yourself. It is absolutely okay and normal to feel lonely. It's a human emotion. Even me, who hates having feelings sometimes, knows that loneliness is valid, it's normal. And remember that all it's doing is showing you that you're wanting something more or something different, right? Woohoo! It's showing us something. It's showing us like, oh, all right, I got a little feeling going on here. I'm feeling a little lonely. I'm going to go ask myself those questions that we just talked about, right? Those 4. And if you have other questions in there, put them, that come to you in those moments, pop them in there. Say those when you're feeling lonely. So wrap yourself in a blanket, real or energetic, and lean into that awareness because it's a gift. I understand it might not feel so good in the moment, but it truly, truly is a gift. Okay. I know tonight was a little shorter. I really thought I would have more to write about, especially with the whole alone thing. As I started writing it yesterday, it started percolating on Saturday where I was like, all right, what am I going to talk about? Because it was Saturday and I still hadn't decided. The inspiration's coming a little later right now in these weeks. And there was a couple that had popped in and I was like, oh, maybe that. Um, and then the alone thing popped in my head, and then some of the words started to come, like more ideas and concepts with it. And I really thought like there would be, I'm sure when more inspiration pops in around this, like this could be a whole book, right? Alone is a big deal in our society. Maybe as I get more words to the feeling, then we'll have a part 2 of alone and loneliness. And someone's writing in the chat, absolutely, holidays are brutal, right? We make, particularly this time of year, which is why I'm guessing that, the universe is like, this is what you're going to talk about. Being alone at the holidays, right? Do you feel that sentence? Oh my goodness. There's so much in that. So much. And you only have to buy into that if you want to. Because like I said, those, the questions at the beginning about being alone, what do you make it mean? I don't have Phoenix. I don't have family here in Phoenix, right? So some people may consider that to be alone. I don't. And and the truth is I stopped going home at Christmas because I got tired of catching the flu. I was like, no, this is not fun. I'm not going in the wintertime. Besides the snow and the cold in Michigan, right? Like, no. But particularly, as we're talking about the holidays, different times of the year, we make it mean so much more. So it's like, we already have all these beliefs around what alone is, right? Oh, I don't have a boyfriend, or I don't have a girlfriend, I'm alone, and all those thoughts. And then we go, oh, now it's the holidays and I'm alone. I don't have anyone to go see Christmas lights with. I don't have anyone to exchange gifts with, all of those things around. I don't have anyone to wake up next to on Christmas morning. Oh my goodness. And if those are things that you want, then absolutely start creating them. Absolutely. And just because you don't have them doesn't mean anything. Means absolutely nothing. Remember, the definition of alone means not having someone with you at the present moment. That's a finite piece of time right there in the present moment. That doesn't mean forever. That doesn't mean for this week. It doesn't mean as a state of being. It just happens to be right now. I am standing here just as one individual. That's it. That's a complete sentence. That's all that means. So, yeah. So if you guys have comments, or if you're watching the video or listening to the podcast and some of this stuff brings things up, ideas or beliefs for you, I always want to hear. I always want to, hear feedback and other ideas. And as always, if there's anything you want me to talk about on Monday nights, then, let me know. We will get to the expectations thing. Apparently this wasn't the week either to do that, because I was like, hey, and it was like, nope. So that's all for tonight. Like I said, I hope you guys have a great holiday season. There will not be an Insights with Alicia next Monday night on the 26th, being the day after Christmas and all the craziness and everything. I am going to take the week off, but I will be back on the following Monday, which is New Year's Day. So we will start this year off connecting, and who knows what I'm going to talk about then. We'll see what it is. I have no idea yet. Thank you all for joining. Always. Thank you for the wonderful comments in the chat box. They're saying that this was great content. Yay. I'm glad that it hit home for you guys. And as always, I love seeing you and connecting with you all. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I had a great time. And as always, if there's people you want to share this with, right, the video will be loaded under the YouTube channel, Alicia Sweezer tonight. Subscribe, like, share, all of the things. If you want to continue to receive information about this, sign up for my blog or join the meetup. All of these links are on my website, in the event listings, wherever you happen to be joining from. And thank you to everyone who listens as a podcast, my latest creation. And as always, everyone who has donated to my cosmic tip jar, and all of you that support me and contribute to me in so many ways. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Those links are in the event info. Also, there's multiple options. Thank you. And as always, if anything I talked about tonight makes you want to learn more, reach out, book a session, schedule your free discovery call. Let's see what we can create and change together. All right, everyone, you have a great week. If you celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, or any of the others, I know there's a bunch of them. I hope that it is a fabulous time for you. I hope you get to connect in ways that are contribution to you, whether that is to source or to other people or the outdoors, nature, whatever it is for you, whatever you do to get filled up in this time of year. I hope you have a great holiday season. Lots of changes going around, lots of energy right now up in the world. Oh my goodness. So many things happening. So be easy with yourself, be gentle. And especially this time of year, ask yourself if you are feeling off, if you're feeling overwhelmed, if you're not feeling quite like yourself, ask yourself if those thoughts, feelings, and emotions are yours. And if they're not, then return to sender. Send them back. We pick up so many things this time of year that are not ours. And for anyone who is sensitive, empath, and I mean, this is all energy. That part's science. That part's not woo-woo. It's not yours. It can get really heavy this time of year. So check in with yourself. And if it's not your thoughts, emotions, feelings, or energy, send it back. Release it, cancel, clear, whatever your process is. And go forward and be light and be just you. Okay, everyone, I will see you in 2 weeks. I will miss you next week. I really will. I was about to say I'll see you next Monday, and then I got a little sad. So 2 weeks from now, New Year's Day, let's see what we can create next year. All right, everyone, bye-bye.